So what we're going to do in this recap video is talk about the XLF. Now this might seem a little unusual in terms of a conversation we'd have on the future side, but when you think about the weight of many of the stocks, the individual stocks on the XLF, it makes perfect sense why the NQ will typically not respond that strongly to sell-offs in the financials, while the Dow and the S&P will. So let's go to the XLF first. And you'll notice the heavy weighted names are represented pretty strongly on the Dow and ES. So watching XLF means watching part of what will move the ES and YM index futures when they sell off or rally. So partly one of the trades that I set up this week was a buy on XLF based upon 1 part momentum, bullish momentum, and 1 part bullish support. So let's go to the daily here on XLF, and I'll show you the setup. So we did get a momentum break, and then we basically sunk back down into the range. And that in and of itself is not problematic, because I think what happens with a lot of momentum traders who will buy through breaks of resistance, is they think if the market sinks below their entry, suddenly that trade is invalid. But what I'm here to say is when you understand that momentum trades typically come with some sort of corresponding exhaustion by alternative, and that these things should be happening within the context of uptrends, overall uptrends, propulsion dots, 12 to 2 o'clock, green grab candle, the whole thing, that we would look for all the different facets of the individual tools that I use to confirm bullishness and or an organized trend. You realize that a pullback buy as well as a momentum buy are both valid. The difference is, one, pullback buys, we may not always get to the low of the range or the actual trigger, and momentum buys can lose momentum and exhaust, still keeping the validity of the buy, but you're taking on a little water, right? A little unrealized loss. So what we have here on XLF is, I believe, now the exhaustive buy and the momentum buy both having triggered. And then I want to confirm that with some of the individual names of the XLF also behaving similarly. In other words, if some of the heavier weighted names pull back, I want them to find support. If some of the heavily weighted names are in chop, I want them to find some sort of floor. Think USB, US Bank Corp. Think Chubb, CB. Okay, so those are the kinds of confirmations that I want. Now you take that full circle over to the S&P, and then you can say, all right, well, if my XLF is finding support and or bullish momentum, this is not going to get in the way of our ES. Notice how the ES 5-minute pull back. It looks a lot like the XLF. You could say that's the tail wagging the dog, but at the same time, don't underestimate the heavy weight of the financials on the ES. And then I could also think about that ES correction also giving me an XLF correction and vice versa. Now, if this had been any other day than Friday, I would have probably looked into the buy. I also know it's quad witching, which will not surprise me to see volatility the last 20 minutes of the trading day. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing here too. Would I have bought into this on the 15? Had this been on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Absolutely. It being a Friday, I'll revisit this on Sunday, and possibly this will be a great trade into next week.